my name is Zanete and I'm the designer behind Zanete Knits, and welcome to another of my pattern deep dive videos where I talk in depth about a pattern that's coming out. And in this video we're focusing on the sweater that I'm wearing called the Undertone Sweater. I'll talk about the inspiration, the yarn, needles and gauge, as well as the sizing, and get to techniques used and the construction and perhaps some possible modifications. So this sweater was created in collaboration with Lamana Yarns. They generously sponsored the yarn used in this sample, and the yarn is called Como Grande. It's a heavy DK / worsted weight yarn, and it's super fine merino, and it's the softest sweater I've had in my life. It's really warm, and I couldn't recommend the yarn more. It's very light. Even though I've used cables, it doesn't feel heavy like a cable sweater. It's like being hugged by a cloud. That's the feeling, I could say, and I wouldn't want to take it off. The inspiration came from a couple of posts I saw somewhere online or Pinterest. I guess it was an advertisement of some sort, and I saw a woman wearing a cabled yoke sweater with a little bit of cables. It wasn't too much, but it instantly gave me this idea that I'd love to have a deep running cabled yoke sweater that is very geometrical and architectural and doesn't look like cables. And seeing that yoke reminded me that my fear of creating cable sweaters is the grading for multiple sizes usually involves a lot of genius thinking unless you want to do a chart per size. So I've avoided writing or creating patterns with cables, even though I love cables. But seeing that yoke made me think that if I could just come up with a cable pattern repeat that I can repeat around the yoke, all my shaping and chart per size worries go away. So that is what prompted me to get started right away. Another thing I wanted was to create something that doesn't look like your traditional cable, and I think I've achieved that. Another thing I love about this is quite a large gauge, so it's a very quick knit. The gauge is 16 stitches in 24 rows or rounds of stockinette stitch. That's what I've used to measure the gauge. The cables themselves use a bit more stitches to get the same width, but that's nothing to worry about. The whole calculation is based on the stockinette stitch, and the yarn that's consumed by the cables is baked in, so we don't need to make many different swatches to understand the gauge. I had to use 4.5 millimeter, that is US size 7 needles to get the gauge, but whichever needles get you the gauge. If you're a tighter knitter, you might need to go a size or 2 up. One thing about the needles, because it is a cable technique, it's advised that you have metallic needles or sharp needles to prevent any possibility of them breaking while you're working on the cables. In terms of sizing, the pattern comes in 9 sizes, and it's designed to be worn with quite a bit of positive ease, and the yoke is a bit deeper than usual because it's a very comfy sweater. The ease is the recommended ease is 15 to 20 centimeters, that is 6 to 8 inches, and the smallest size starts with a 95 centimeter, that is 38 inches around the bust, and the largest size has 177 centimeters, and that is 71 inches circumference. So it's a range that I hope you can find your happiness there. You can go more fitted or even more oversized than I do. And in terms of the construction, it's a top-down sweater worked in the round. So as usual, you can easily adjust the length of the sleeves or the body. The cables themselves run past sleeve separation just in the body. The sleeves are worked in stockinette purely to keep it simple. So I start by casting on the neckline stitches here at the base. Then we work some increases necessary to get to the required stitch count for the yoke chart. There is some short row shaping at the back. I've used Japanese short rows, that are my favorite short rows, but you can use any short row method. And then we get to working the yoke, the cables in the yoke. And the cables are so simple, they really are. There are a couple of a bit of trickier ones here at the very first rounds of the chart, namely two. But I have included videos of how to do this cable with and without a cable needle. I'm working in continental style, but I hope that's easy to translate to English style, because we're just focusing on where to place the cable needle, where to hold it, and then it's just knitting and purling in your preferred style. But past this round, everything else is really simple and no fuss. So I think an ambitious beginner who hasn't worked cables before would be able to accomplish this and create this sweater. And there's no other shaping to worry about in the cable chart at all, so you can focus on the cabling. The yoke length varies from size to size. Some sizes have more increased rows here and more short row shaping rows, as well as the separation happens in this region. So there's no actual cabling done on the separation round, and I was trying to design it so that I could place this stockinette section where the separation is. And then the body is worked in the round down to the hem, and the same with the sleeves. There are some decreases for the sleeves. The decreases start slower until they get to about 1/3 of the sleeve length, and then the cadence increases, so they create not a balloon but sort of a more shaped than your typical trapezoid shaped sleeve. And the cuff and the hem, as well as the collar, are worked in 2x2 rib, finished with a rolled stockinette or reverse stockinette, because you see the wrong side edge, and bind off in whichever bind off method you like. And the stitches are picked up around the neck here to add the collar. And the pattern includes instructions for creating a high neck or a turtleneck, but you could easily adjust it to have a very small neckband or a double folded neckband, or change the ribbing to seed stitch or moss stitch or whatever you fancy. So that's probably one of the easy modifications that you could do in addition to the sleeve length and body length. I think that's it. I've covered everything, but if you have any questions or if I missed something, don't hesitate to ask questions in the comments. And I look forward to sharing this pattern with you all. If you're a newsletter subscriber, you will get a notification as soon as it's available for purchase, as well as an exclusive discount code for you subscribers. If you're not a subscriber yet, you can become one very easily by adding your email to a subscription box on our homepage, and I've included a link to that in the description. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.